Okay, we're going to start to discuss Rails. I do want to kind of note, though, that the railings that you're going to work with are going to take two primary forms. For rails on stairs, generally speaking, you're going to have a guardrail and you're going to have a handrail. Those are two different things. A guardrail is the higher railing. Let me try and find a picture real quick. These are all interior. Hang on. There we go. Great picture. Okay, so the guardrail is the higher rail. It's usually 42 inches. And the handrail is what you actually grab when you're going down. You're all familiar with this configuration. That's usually going to be anywhere from 34 to 38 inches. Okay, yeah, there. So this is actually a great picture because what I want to point out to you about Revit when it comes to railings is that is really difficult to do. Like super difficult to do in Revit. So you would think it'd be easy because basically, you know, this family is so smart. I can switch it to a pipe family. I can, switch it to a glass panel railing family, right? And you'd think that they're super easy to manage, but they're not. The reason is, once you start to do some kind of wild and crazy things, like let's take this railing, for instance. All right, actually, let me just switch back to a pipe one. I'm going to do guardrail pipe because it's relatively simple and it looks kind of like what you're seeing there. And actually, let me close this. Get rid of that, and let's go to 3D view as well. All right. I'm going to put up a section box. Cool. Awesome. So, so here's the rail, right? So part of the problem here is when you take a Revit railing and you try to extend it, because particularly in commercial applications, a railing needs to have an extension at the bottom, at the end of the bottom tread. So let's just go into Revit and do what the intuitive move is, which is to say I'm going to edit the path and I'm going to extend it by an extra foot or so. Right? I'm hyper extending it here a little bit, right? So I'm going to hit check, and we'll take a look at what it does. Right? All it does is just extend this thing continuously down. What we actually need to do from a Revit perspective is break it up into line segments, and those line segments are supposed to tie to whatever element is below it. So you go into Edit Path. And rather than extending it all the way, you actually need to create your 1 foot segment. So 1 foot is that. And that's a code requirement, guys. Don't worry about it too much. I'm going to move this off for a little bit first. So move it back there. And the typical tread depth, at least for our stair right here, is 11 inches. So if we need the stair to extend down, look here, right? If we need the stair to continue to extend down, right, to get to a point where the handrail is the same distance from the nose of the stair as it is from the floor, then we need to have the handrail actually continue on its path going down for another 11 inches linearly, horizontal. And then we need to add our 1 foot extension at the bottom of it. So we're going to move this out 1 foot. Oh, sorry. My mistake. We're going to move it out 11 inches. And then we're going to, I chose to do it this way, but I'm going to align it and then pull this to it. So now what we have is one segment that has an extension of 11 inches, and then I have a 1 foot separate line segment right after that. So when I hit check, now it's going to properly calibrate at the bottom of my stair. Okay, so that's your first lesson in why Revit stairs are terrible. All right. Similarly, let's take a look at the second floor a little bit closer. Let me calibrate this a little bit. There we go. So the second floor, this railing, let's go to guardrail pipe. When you're doing something like the second floor element, notice how this thing actually comes up and then runs and then turns and then runs and then goes up again. Unfortunately, in Revit, you sort of have to do that. And in commercial projects, there are some code requirements that sort of elongate that extension a little bit. In a residential project, you can get around some of that. But basically, we have to edit this path again. So I'm going to edit the path. And at the top, I don't need an extension, right? So let's just do a quick extension at the top so you can see. So if I wanted it to go like an extra 6 inches, I extend it, and you'll see that it just jumps up, and it's no longer attached to my floor anymore. Okay. So what I need to do is stop this, and then start a new line segment, have that go 6 inches out. This one will probably go 6 inches as well. And then this line segment will continue all the way around here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we actually got it to sort of behave like that, and the lucky thing for us is that this is a really simple handrail, so we somewhat emulated this condition. Any questions? Yes?
Does it change the height of the top rail when you do that? Because when the top handrail was drawn originally, it met the front tread of the second floor, or the front face of the second floor. But then when you drew that next line segment, that placed, I don't know, whatever the height it was, 36 inches at that floor. So does it meet the difference between the two heights?
Do you mean when it's on the stair versus when it's on a horizontal floor?
Because, okay, when you drew your line segment, it draws it, whatever, 3 feet from that point. But your top rail is going at an angle. So there's a difference. Does it meet that difference automatically? I mean, it looks like it did.
There should not be a difference. The idea, so like let's say we set our handrail at 36 inches off the floor, right? The 36 inches applies to the nosing of the stair as well. So if you look at it here, actually let's just do it this way. From the nose of the stair to the top of the handrail should be 36 inches, which is what that is. See, 3 feet. When you get to the bottom, that 11-inch extension at the bottom, that's what it basically resets the distance so that at the top of the rail to the floor is 3 feet again. Does that make sense? And then at the top, it does the same thing. But you don't need the extension because you're already 36 inches from here to the top of the handrail, and you just need to go horizontal now.
I was just assuming because I remember when we were doing this in David's class, we basically couldn't get it to work. We just had to do like a workaround, like nudge things, like make them look like they fit.
Yeah, well, sometimes it does like really weird things. It's actually behaving really well on me right now. Occasionally, if you do the extension thing where you just draw the line farther than the floor, it'll just say, screw it, I'm just going to be horizontal. You know, it doesn't read that it's a part of the stair anymore on occasion. So, you know, there are some things that you have to do in order to get it to work right. Oftentimes, like with this kind of stuff, oftentimes I've just resorted to using grasshoppers on occasion. But anyway, so we're going to take a look at like modifying the rail types here in a little bit, but you guys need to be at this position with this rail implemented before we continue. Okay, I need you to have this compound rail.